Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. My buddy Rhett. We go. There's a nut for Rhett, and we are building. So we are right now. We're sort of settling into a nice little pattern with a nice little like velocity bump, right? As we things are happening faster, and it's getting more like the mistakes are getting lower, the rework's getting lower. We're just slowly starting to get faster and faster and faster. This is what I like to call the mirage, management mirage, where management will start to see that, and then someone plants the idea that, oh, the reason that's happening is because you're seeing an acceleration, which is the natural part of things. So now you can do XYZ with your team because they're experiencing this acceleration. But the reality is that this acceleration is going to be very short lived, right? We've got, let's see, if I go here and I hit, okay, so we have camera, geometry, material. And then when we finish material, we're going to hit mesh, and mesh appears like it might be a little bit more complex. And then we have renderer, and then we have scene. And then that's it. And then that acceleration bump is over, right? So like you might see a 1 week increase in velocity and points that your team is pulling together because now we've sort of settled in. But the problem is we probably in that sort of situation we've probably done camera wrong. So now we need to go back because as we've moved through these, we've just gotten faster and faster, and the path has become clearer and clearer. But it's very, very likely that when we did this path for camera, which was the first one, that we missed some spots or we've come up with some improvements since then. So now we're going to have to go back and actually putting that together and doing a good job of sort of making that fit with everybody else. Camera is probably very slow. And that is probably the thing that they'll give a junior developer. They'll be like, oh, here, this will be simple. It's like, that guy carried 1,000 needles last week. And then they go up to you. All your job is figure out where that one needle, or is to carry one needle. We're just asking you to carry one needle, and he carried 1,000, so you should be able to. But your needle for the poor junior developer is in a haystack, right? It's just like we're trying to fix what is different in camera than in material, and this is like sort of the oldest. It happens all the time, all the time. Anyway, so now we are working on mesh, and I think we started to work on getting the mesh data published. And basically, anytime we update the mesh geometry, or we update the mesh material, or we create a mesh, we want to publish the mesh change, right? Because the mesh has changed. So I think we have a this dot publish mesh dictionary. And see, I like how I did that, where I just said publish, like I didn't just say publish and just add a publish and then create like some class that extends publish and all that, because I still think that there might be some idiosyncrasies, some slight differences in the way ThreeJS does things between these different pieces that might require things to be different. And if I have to go in and figure that out, I need to be able to easily understand that I'm only working on publishing the mesh dictionary. I'm not affecting all the other dictionaries because mesh dictionary may have something that's very unique about it. I know it's already unique because we have like different we have like different things happening in here, which was not the case. I think the other ones, it's like, hey, all we have is create and delete, and those are the only times that we do anything. But here we can update the material, or we can update the um, geometry. So like it's different. It's very, very different. Control V. So now we're publishing our mesh dictionary anytime we update the mesh geometry, anytime we update the mesh material, and that's it. And we still need to do the delete. But before we do the delete, we need mesh to show up in here, right? So we are changing gears, right? We're turning everything a million degrees away, and now we're working on ST tables, the publishing data to ST tables, and all that. So that cognitive shift, that shift in what the context of your brain is, completely changes at that point. So you have to be able to do that shift, and anything you can do to help you when you go to that shift is very useful. And so if we go to our app data layout component, I believe, yeah, we have our three table component. And inside of our three table component, um, that looks so weird to me. That was the weirdest looking thing where when it kind of collapses like that. But when we're in our three table component, if we look in our um, in here, we see that it's pretty easy to sort of come up to speed now. And I've completely released that old context and I'm into a new context. And I see that I need to update this set of updating these and fixing these comments are going to help me a lot. Okay, so it looks like I actually did not finish the last one. So let's do this one. And basically, I forgot on the material. So I think all I have to do is something along three material. And I'm guessing it's public material dictionary. And I just want to make sure that that is right. Yep. And that is right. So that matches up. So that gives me like sort of a warm fuzzy that my context is not flawed. I'm not operating under a flawed context. And it looks like what I do is I do this little pattern where I say what the hash is and what the actual data is. So let's do that. And this is going to be 3, and this is going to come from the mesh service, and it's going to be public mesh dictionary. So here's where like little weird things can creep in, right? Like I could end up not like I could end up misspelling something here since this isn't actual code. It's not gonna get caught by anything if I just fat fingered something or something like that. So that is like kind of one of those things that you kind of have to um, think about. Now let's do this. Let's save that. That shouldn't affect anything because it was just a comment. And so we know we're going to need the 3 mesh service. So let's go ahead and do that. Looks like we do that right here. Come back up. So that was, I guess I'd never really thought about it, but that was a sort of that set of comments there ended up being sort of a context loader, bootstrapped a context into my head. Um, and then I like to think to myself every time when I do this is I really wish I'd have called that 3 mesh service. Um, yeah, that looks right. Import from 3 mesh service for a mesh service, and I'm calling it a 3 mesh service. And then now we actually have that. So now we can come over here and then we can go const. And I don't think I need to do the assignments. So let me actually put a to do up there. It says to do. I don't think to do. I don't. I don't think that I need to do an assignment test after Cypress. So once I build my Cypress that tests this thing, then I'm going to delete those and try it out. So this should be mesh. And then this should be this. So let's just copy this. This will actually be a good way for me to make sure that I actually used that I didn't do a typo in there, right? Like that's one of my biggest things that even after decades of this stuff, I still freaking do like spelling typos all the time. All right, so that looks like that is good, nice and clean. Looks like the next thing would be to do this one. and this is where we get our raw data. And I got that cool little emoji, little, yeah, emoticon. I think that's what that's called. Um, and so I know I'm in a happy place working on my own happy code. I don't have to have any anxiety about, oh, how's the PR person going to react to this code? Like that is, I can just leave that. That's such an important part of actually being a professional. Um, and then let's see. Doom, 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 doom. Let's mesh row 3 table transfer, and this is going to be a type of mesh, which I remember strongly typing that to where they can only be specific things that this entry. And so now I think I can just say comma mesh row. And theoretically, it should show up. And we do have our new mesh. And if we add viz, and now we have this mesh, and now we can click in here, and we can see everything that's in this mesh. So that was that. That was what took like over a week to do for the very first for the camera hash. The camera is now took like less than 5 minutes, maybe less than 10 minutes to do for mesh rows. I think the next one will go just as fast. The renderer, um, and this has gone a lot faster than the ST side because it just isn't as like I don't have as many things that you could change and stuff. I didn't code that many things in there. But as you can see, you can easily see everything that's in here. So we can come back. We know how do we know there's a blend color, right? Like we know there's a height of segments in a mesh, all kinds of neat stuff. We're getting familiar with this terminology. Like I said, renderer is next, scene is after that, and then this whole, oh no, actually mesh delete, right? So now if I go here and I say delete, and then I get back, we see we still have, and this, my friends, once again, is in fact a memory leak. So that's the next thing to do is get this mesh memory leak resolved. And that will be by creating a delete. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.